Hello and welcome back to the lesson claims and damages of ProTrain's delay analysis and the extension of time. EOT, Claims Masterclass. I am Ashutosh Maurya, your instructor. I am thrilled to see you all here. In this lecture, we shall discuss claims and damages. Let us get started with lecture introduction. 1. Introduction to Construction Project Dynamics. Nature of adversarial relationships in construction. Although the goal of any construction project is to be beneficial for all parties involved, the inherent nature of the industry often leads to adversarial relationships. These adversarial relationships can escalate into disputes, making effective communication and understanding between parties crucial. Capital intensity for owners and contractors. Construction is a capital intensive industry. This means that both owners and contractors need to invest substantial amounts of money to see a project through to completion. Due to this significant financial commitment, any increase in costs can have a severe impact on their financial bottom lines. Importance of understanding construction claims. To ensure the successful completion of a project, it's essential for both contractors and owners to understand construction claims and how to resolve them. Knowing the procedures and issues surrounding claims helps protect their substantial investments and ensures smoother project execution. 2. Overview of construction claims. Types of claims in construction projects. Claims in construction projects can arise from a variety of issues. Some common types include delays, unforeseen site conditions, changes in scope, and non-compliance with project specifications. Understanding these different types of claims helps in developing strategies to either avoid them or address them effectively when they arise. Categories of damages. Damages associated with construction claims are generally categorized in various ways, such as direct costs, for example, labor, materials, indirect costs, for example, extended overhead, and consequential damages, for example, lost profits. Recognizing these categories is crucial for both proving and negotiating claims. Importance of proving damages. Without proper proof of damages, proving liability for a claim holds little value. This can be likened to having a solid argument but no evidence to support it. Proper documentation and evidence are key to substantiating any claim and are essential for negotiating settlements. Without this proof, negotiating any form of resolution becomes extremely difficult, if not impossible. 3. Role of contract documents in construction claims. Defining relationships in contract documents. Contract documents are fundamental in defining the primary relationships between the parties involved in a construction project. These documents usually include the contract itself, general and supplementary conditions, the project schedule, drawings, and specifications. Each of these components outlines the expectations and responsibilities of the parties. Common sources of disputes. Disputes often stem from misunderstandings or misinterpretations of the contract documents. Issues such as ambiguous terms, changes in scope not properly documented, and deviations from the specifications are common sources of contention that can lead to claims. Misunderstanding and misinterpretation leading to claims. Misunderstandings and misinterpretations of contract documents frequently lead to construction claims. For instance, a contractor might interpret a specification differently from the owner or project manager, leading to disagreements and potential disputes. Therefore, a clear and thorough understanding of all contract documents is essential in preventing such issues and managing claims effectively when they do arise. By structuring and understanding these elements, parties can navigate the complexities of construction claims more successfully, protecting their investments and fostering more collaborative project environments. After completing the lecture, you should be able to understand What are claims and their types? What are contractor claims versus owner-employer claim? How the concept of burden of proof works. In the subsequent section of the lecture, we shall understand what are damages and their types. At the end of the lecture, we shall also discuss loss of profit claims. Now, when we have covered the introduction and learning objectives, now let us jump to the first section of the lecture, which is contractor's claim. What are claims in construction contracts? The term claim is generally defined in law as a written demand or assertion by one of the contracting parties seeking, as a matter of legal right, payment of additional money, adjustment to the time of performance, and or some other change variation to the terms of the contract, arising under or related to the contract. Now let us focus on one more related term, that is change or variation order. Let us understand what is it. A change variation order, on the other hand, is a directive from the owner, employer, or their representative to the contractor directing him or her to perform work differently or perform different work than contracted. Frequently, disagreements over contract requirements arise, which cannot be resolved through the change variation order process. Typically, such disputes are referred to under the rubric of a claim. Many design and construction contracts have clauses that address disputes or claims, and the notice is required in order to properly assert a dispute or claim. At the highest level, claims can be categorized into two categories of contractor's claim and owner's claim. We shall take a deep dive on universe of claim in upcoming sections of the lecture. Let's begin by focusing on contractor claims. Here we would understand how these claim situations arise from the outset. 1. Assumptions made by contractors in bidding. Scope of work defined appropriately. When a contractor bids on a project, there is an underlying assumption that the project's scope of work is clearly and appropriately defined. This means every task, requirement, and expectation is detailed sufficiently so that the contractor can accurately gauge the effort, resources, and time needed. Accuracy of contract specifications, designs, and drawings. Contractors also assume that the contract specifications, designs, and drawings provided by the project owner are accurate and well prepared. These documents serve as the blueprint for the entire project, and any errors or ambiguities can lead to misunderstandings and miscalculations during the execution phase. Fulfillment of owner's preconditions. Before the commencement of work, contractors expect that the project owner has fulfilled all necessary preconditions. These might include acquiring permits, arranging for site access, and providing necessary resources or information required to start the project without hindrance. Validity of represented site conditions. It is also assumed that the site conditions, as described by the owner, are true and accurate. This includes the physical characteristics of the site, existing structures, soil conditions, and other factors that could affect construction. Completeness and correctness of project schedule. Lastly, contractors assume that the project schedule provided is complete, realistic, and achievable. This means all tasks are accounted for, timelines are feasible, and any dependencies or critical path activities are clearly identified and planned accordingly. This statement also holds good in case of the subcontractor's claims, as well as once the baseline is approved by the employer. 2. Potential claims due to invalid assumptions. Impact of undefined scope of work. If the scope of work is not adequately defined, contractors may encounter unforeseen tasks and requirements, leading to delays and additional costs. This ambiguity often results in disputes over what work is included in the original contract versus what is considered extra, potentially resulting in claims for additional compensation. Consequences of inaccurate contract documents. Inaccurate or incomplete specifications, designs, or drawings can lead to construction errors, rework, and delays. These inaccuracies force contractors to seek clarifications or redesigns, which disrupt the workflow and result in claims for time extensions or financial compensation due to the increased effort required to rectify issues. Issues arising from unfulfilled owner conditions. If the owner fails to meet the conditions necessary for the contractor to begin work, such as acquiring permits or providing site access, the contractor's schedule is impacted. This can cause significant delays and additional costs for which the contractor may file claims for damages or extension of time. Problems stemming from misrepresented site conditions. When actual site conditions differ from those represented by the owner, contractors might face unexpected challenges such as unsuitable soil conditions or unforeseen obstacles. These issues can lead to claims for additional costs incurred due to the need for modified construction techniques, additional materials, or extended project duration. Complications from incomplete or incorrect schedules. An incomplete or incorrect project schedule can disrupt the contractor's planning and execution process. If the timelines are unrealistic or tasks are not properly prioritized, the project might experience delays and increased costs. Contractors may then file claims for the additional time and resources required to complete the project under these unplanned circumstances. Contractor claims are generally categorized under scope changes, acceleration, delay, and disruption claims, payment claims, termination claims. Let us understand each of them starting from scope changes. Scope changes. 1. Introduction to scope changes in construction projects. Inevitability of minor scope changes. In any construction project, changes to the scope of work are almost inevitable. These could be due to various factors like adjustments in the original plans or unforeseen field conditions. Virtually every construction contract includes provisions that address these inevitable changes. Causes of scope changes. Common causes of scope changes include alterations to construction drawings, changes in material specified, opportunities for value engineering, unanticipated conditions uncovered during construction, and occasional design errors. 2. Contractual provisions for handling scope changes. Common contractual provisions. Most construction contracts provide specific guidelines and procedures for handling scope changes. These aim to ensure that any extra work required is documented and agreed upon by all parties involved. Importance of understanding contract terms. It is crucial for all parties, especially contractors, to fully understand the terms related to scope changes in their contracts. Ignoring these terms can lead to disputes and unexpected financial impacts. 3. Impact of scope changes on construction projects. Overlooked effects on other work. Scope changes can have ripple effects on other parts of the project. If these are not carefully considered, they can disrupt the overall workflow and project timeline. Cost implications of scope changes. The direct cost of implementing a scope change might seem manageable, but the indirect cost due to delays, disruptions, or the need to accelerate other tasks can be significantly higher. Proper documentation and analysis of these impacts are essential to avoid disputes. 4. Formal change orders and role of formal change orders. Formal change orders are the proper way to account for and manage scope changes in construction projects. They document the agreed upon changes and the associated costs and timelines. Risks of not fully understanding change order. Impact. If a contractor does not fully grasp how a scope change affects other work, they might unknowingly release the owner from costs related to these impacts through the change order. This emphasizes the need for thorough assessment before finalizing change orders. 5. Cardinal changes in construction contracts. Definition and significance of cardinal changes. A cardinal change refers to a significant alteration in the scope of a work that fundamentally changes the nature of the project. This type of change makes the contract differ materially from what was originally agreed upon. Criteria for determining a cardinal change. Determining a cardinal change involves a factual analysis. Key factors include the extent to which the change increases the cost of performance and the nature of the additional work required. 6. Implications of cardinal changes. Consequences of cardinal changes. When a cardinal change occurs, it implies a breach of contract because the work required has become so different that it falls outside the scope of the original agreement. The affected party may then seek remedies beyond the usual contract provisions. Contractors' rights and remedies. In the event of a cardinal change, the contractor may have the right to refuse to perform under the altered contract terms. They can hold the other party liable for breach of contract and seek compensation for costs and damages incurred as a result. This underscores the importance of recognizing and addressing cardinal changes promptly. Acceleration, delay, and disruption claims. 1. Background. In construction projects, claims can arise from changes in the projected time or manner of performing the contract. The most common types include claims for acceleration, delay, and disruption. Each type has specific elements that need to be proven, and these are not interchangeable. Overview of time and manner changes in performance. Time-related claims generally deal with delays, while manner-related claims often involve acceleration or disruption. Understanding these changes is crucial for managing and resolving claims effectively. 2. Understanding delay claims. Definition of delay claims. Delay claims specifically address increases in the time needed to complete a project beyond the initially agreed schedule. These claims may result from various unforeseen issues encountered during the construction process. Types of delays: excusable versus non-excusable. Delays can be categorized into two main types: excusable and non-excusable. Each has different implications for both parties involved in the contract. 3. Excusable and non-excusable delays. Categories and characteristics. Excusable delays are those that are beyond the control of the contractor and are typically outlined in the contract. They may be caused by factors like bad weather, labor strikes, or owner interference. Non-excusable delays, on the other hand, are usually within the contractor's control and result from poor project management or resource planning. Compensable versus non-compensable delays. Excusable delays can further be divided into compensable and non-compensable categories. Compensable delays entitle the contractor to additional compensation and time extensions, whereas non-compensable delays may only result in time extensions but no extra payment. 4. Damages and consequences of delay. Financial impacts of delay. When delays are experienced, they often lead to financial repercussions such as increased overhead costs, additional financing costs, and sometimes liquidated damages as specified in the contract. It's important to quantify these impacts to support any delay claims. Excusable delays caused by the owner. Delays instigated by the owner, such as faulty plans or late approvals, are considered excusable and entitle the contractor to compensation. These delays must be well documented to ensure proper claims handling. 5. Notification requirements for delay claims. Importance of written notice. Typically, contractors are required to provide written notice to owners when seeking time extensions or other forms of relief for excusable delays. This is a critical step in the claims process to ensure that all parties are properly informed. Exceptions to the notification requirement. There are scenarios where written notice might not be mandatory, especially if the delay was caused by the owner or if the owner was already aware of the delay and its causes. In such cases, the absence of formal notice may not prejudice the contractor's claim for relief. 6. Introduction to acceleration in construction projects. Definition and types of acceleration. Acceleration in construction refers to speeding up the pace of work. Acceleration occurs when the contractor is required to complete the project in less time than originally planned. This often necessitates working longer hours, hiring more personnel, or both. There are two primary types: directed acceleration and constructive acceleration. Directed acceleration occurs at the owner's request, while constructive acceleration happens due to project schedule pressure in the face of delays. Importance of understanding acceleration. Understanding these types is crucial because they can significantly impact the project's timeline, cost, and resource allocation. Acceleration can lead to disputes between the owner and contractor, making clarity in contracts and processes essential. Methods of acceleration. Overtime, additional manpower. To meet accelerated schedules, contractors might resort to overtime work, additional manpower, or enhanced equipment utilization. These measures, while effective in hastening project completion, also lead to higher costs for labor, supervision, and equipment. 7. Directed acceleration. Definition and mechanism. Directed acceleration occurs when an owner explicitly orders the contractor to speed up the work pace. The contractor must comply and expedite the project activities. Implications for owners and contractors. When directed acceleration is ordered, the owner is liable for all acceleration costs incurred by the contractor. This can include overtime pay, additional labor, and equipment rental. Therefore, it is a cost-intensive approach. Contract provisions. Many construction contracts contain clauses that specifically allow owners to direct contractors to accelerate work. Understanding and including these provisions can help both parties align their expectations and prepare for potential costs. 8. Constructive acceleration. Definition and mechanism. Constructive acceleration is subtler. It occurs not through a direct order but due to the pressures of meeting the original project schedule despite excusable delays. The contractor feels compelled to accelerate to avoid penalties or other contractual breaches. Implications for owners and contractors. Unlike directed acceleration, it can be more complex to prove and recover costs for constructive acceleration. Contractors must document excusable delays and their subsequent action meticulously to claim compensation. 9. Elements of constructive acceleration. Excusable delay. An excusable delay is a delay that is beyond the contractor's control and is not due to their fault or negligence. Examples include severe weather conditions, changes in project scope ordered by the owner, or supplier delays. Notice and request for time extension. The contractor must formally notify the owner of the excusable delay and request a time extension. This step is crucial as it documents the contractor's awareness and proactive approach to addressing delays. Owner's refusal to grant extension. If the owner refuses to grant the time extension within a reasonable period, this sets the stage for constructive acceleration. The refusal indicates that the original project timeline must still be adhered to, exacerbating schedule pressure. Order to accelerate. Following the denial of the extension, the owner must issue an order to accelerate. This order can be explicit or implied. Explicit orders are clear instructions, whereas implied orders might be inferred from project discussions and documentation. Actual acceleration. Lastly, the contractor must demonstrate that they actually accelerated their work. This can be shown through records of additional workers employed, overtime hours worked, or increased resource utilization to meet the original schedule. 10. Understanding excusable delay. Definition. An excusable delay is defined as a delay that the contractor could not control or foresee, and it is not due to their fault. This concept is central to claiming constructive acceleration. Examples of excusable delays. Instances of excusable delays include defective plans provided by the owner initiated changes, or delays in material delivery by the owner. Each of these can justify a request for a time extension. Importance of providing proof. To claim constructive acceleration, contractors must provide proof of an excusable delay. This documentation should include detailed logs, correspondence, and any other relevant records that support the claim of an uncontrollable delay. 11. Proving constructive acceleration. Steps for contractors to take. Contractors should begin by documenting all delays and immediately notifying the owner seeking an extension. If denied, they must retain records of all related communications and subsequent additional efforts made to accelerate work. Legal and documentation requirements. Legally, proving constructive acceleration involves the five key elements: excusable delay, notice, refusal of time extension, an order to accelerate, and evidence of actual acceleration. Keeping thorough documentation throughout the project is crucial to substantiating the claim. 12. Introduction to disruption claims. Definition of disruption claims. Disruption claims arise when events prevent the contractor from completing the work as initially planned and bid. These claims focus on the interruptions and inefficiencies caused during the project. Causes of owner caused disruptions. Owner caused disruptions can stem from several issues such as incomplete or incorrect contract drawings, changes in the scope of work, delays in responding to questions, and tardy approvals of shop drawings. These factors disrupt the planned workflow, causing inefficiencies. Other factors affecting disruption claims. Beyond owner related issues, disruption claims can also arise from external factors like adverse weather conditions, labor disputes, and other unforeseen events. It's important to understand that while some disruption claims may be valid, not all are compensable under the contract terms. 13. Differences between delay and disruption claims. Nature of damages for delay claims. Delay claims typically extend the project's completion date and lead to additional costs related to prolonged home and field office overhead, equipment rentals, and extra financing needs. These claims are straightforward as they are tied directly to the project's timeline extension. Nature of damages for disruption claims. Disruption claims, on the other hand, might not extend the project's completion date but focus on additional costs due to inefficiencies. Examples include the need for extra labor, reduced productivity from overtime, the stacking of trades, multiple trades working in a confined area simultaneously, performing tasks out of sequence, and on site installation of materials that ideally should have been prepared off site. Comparison of delay and disruption claims based on damages. While delay claims and disruption claims might both stem from owner interference, the nature of the damages differs. Delay claims are more about extended project time and related overhead costs, whereas disruption claims are concerned with inefficiencies and the resulting additional costs. This distinction is crucial for contractors seeking compensation. 14. Contractual clauses and limitations. Types of contractual limitations on claims. Contracts often include specific clauses that limit the ability to claim damages for delays or disruptions. These contractual limitations must be carefully reviewed to understand their implications fully. Enforceability of exculpatory clauses. Exculpatory clauses, which aim to absolve parties from liability, are generally disfavored and often unenforceable. They are seen as too extreme, removing any incentive for the party to perform their duties diligently. Enforceability of limitation of liability clauses. Limitation of liability clauses, which set a cap on the amount of damages, are typically enforceable as long as they are reasonable and not overly restrictive. These clauses cannot preclude actions that arise from intentionally tortious conduct or a gross failure to exercise due care. When a party neglects their contractual duties, it can lead to a breach of contract ruling, resulting in liability. It's essential for contractors to thoroughly understand the clauses within their contracts and the distinction between various claims. This comprehension helps in appropriately managing claims and seeking rightful compensation where applicable. Payment claims. 1. Importance of expected cash flow for contractors. Impact on bottom line profits. Cash flow is vital for contractors as it directly impacts their profitability. When payments are delayed or not made, it cuts into their expected profits, thus impacting their financial health. Effect on capital and financing. Contractors rely on incoming payments to manage their capital and secure financing for ongoing and future projects. Delayed payments can strain this financial stability, making it difficult to fund new ventures or even sustain current operations. Challenges in performing other projects. Cash flow issues can impact a contractor's ability to take on and efficiently manage other projects. Without timely payments, resources may be diverted or inadequately allocated, leading to project delays and further financial distress. 2. Consequences of untimely payments. Negative impact on bonding capacity. Bonding capacity, which ensures contractors can secure performance and payment bonds for projects, is closely tied to financial stability. Untimely payments jeopardize this capacity, causing difficulties in obtaining future bonds. Effect on obligations to employees, subcontractors, and material suppliers. Contractors have multiple financial commitments, including payroll, subcontractor payments, and material supplier dues. Delayed payments affect the contractor's ability to meet these obligations, disrupting the project supply chain and workforce morale. Potential threat to contractor survival. Consistent payment delays can be catastrophic, leading to a severe cash flow crisis that threatens the very survival of contracting businesses. For many contractors, prompt payment is crucial to avoid financial collapse. 3. Limited traditional leverage for contractors. Traditional claim process. Initially, contractors had limited means to address delayed payment issues effectively. The traditional claim process was often lengthy and cumbersome, providing minimal immediate relief. Insufficient leverage in past. Prior to legislative changes, contractors had little leverage against late payments, which often left them struggling financially while waiting for the resolution of payment disputes through normal claim channels. In the last few decades, majority of jurisdictions around the world have enacted laws to encourage timely payment to contractors by the employer and to the subcontractor by the main contractors. For example, Prompt Payment Acts in the United States of America. 4. Introduction of Prompt Payment Acts. Importance of Prompt Payment Acts. Prompt Payment Acts have been introduced to address the critical issue of timely payments to contractors. These laws ensure that contractors receive due payments promptly, thus stabilizing their cash flow and overall financial health. Penalties for untimely payments. These acts impose severe penalties for untimely payments or wrongful withholding. This includes compelling interest on unpaid balances and other punitive measures that incentivize project owners and primary contractors to adhere to payment schedules. Recovery of interest, penalties, and attorney's fees. Contractors who substantially prevail in claims under Prompt Payment Acts can recover substantial interest, penalties, and even attorney fees. This added enforcement mechanism provides a robust deterrent against delayed payments and offers contractors a means to mitigate financial strains due to such delays. Termination claims. 1. Introduction to contract termination. Threats of termination for contractors. Contractors often face threats of termination due to alleged improper performance or failure to comply with contractual provisions. These situations create significant stress and uncertainty for contractors. Conditions for contract termination. A contract can only be terminated if the breach is material and occurs before substantial completion of the contract. Minor or partial breaches don't typically relieve a party from their contractual obligations. Knowing the difference is crucial for both contractors and owners. 2. Material versus minor breach. Definition of a material breach. A breach is considered material if it fundamentally undermines the contract, rendering the injured party deprived of the benefits they reasonably expected from the agreement. It's much more severe compared to a minor breach. Factors determining material breach. Determining if a breach is material involves several considerations, all aiming to assess the gravity of the breach and its impact on the contractual relationship. Consequences of minor breaches. While minor breaches may justify claiming damages or deductions, they do not excuse the aggrieved party from fulfilling their contractual duties. It's essential to distinguish these to avoid improper responses to breaches. 3. Factors for determining material breach. Deprivation of expected benefit. The extent to which the injured party is deprived of the benefit they reasonably expected is a key factor. If the breach results in significant loss of expected benefits, it may be deemed material. Adequate compensation. Another consideration is whether the injured party can be adequately compensated for the breach. If compensation is feasible and reasonable, the breach might not be material. Suffering due to forfeiture. The impact on the breaching party is also considered, especially if they face significant losses due to forfeiture when the breach is deemed material. Likelihood of curing failure. Assessing the likelihood that the breaching party can rectify the failure is crucial. If there's a high chance they will cure the breach, it may not be considered material. Good faith and fair dealing. The behavior of the breaching party and whether it aligns with good faith and fair dealing standards plays a significant role. Breaches performed in bad faith are more likely to be deemed material. Extent of contract performance. The degree to which the contract has been performed at the time of the breach is important. If a substantial portion is already completed, the breach's materiality might be reduced. Nature of breach. Willful, negligent, or circumstantial. The cause of the breach, whether willful, negligent, or due to external circumstances, affects its materiality. Willful breaches are often judged more harshly. Seriousness from the contract standpoint. Finally, the seriousness of the breach in relation to what was originally agreed upon is critical. If the breach severely undermines the contract's core purpose, it's more likely to be deemed material. 4. Consequences of breach determination. Actions for minor breaches, damages, and set off. Minor breaches allow the injured party to recover damages or claim set offs against the breaching party. However, these breaches do not absolve them from continuing their contractual responsibilities. Actions for material breaches, termination, and cessation of work. In cases of material breaches, the injured party is entirely discharged from further performance obligations and may terminate the contract. The contractor can cease work and pursue legal remedies for the breach. 5. Wrongful termination risks for owners. Contractors' right to sue for wrongful termination. If an owner unlawfully terminates a contract without a material breach, the contractor has the right to stop work and sue for breach of contract. This risk emphasizes the need for proper breach assessment. Liability after substantial completion. Even when there are omissions, owners may still face liability for wrongful termination if the contractor has substantially completed the project. Considerations for substantial completion. Determining substantial completion involves comparing the cost to finish the remaining work against the overall contract price. Owners should be cautious and ensure they don't hinder the contractor's progress to avoid wrongful termination claims. Owner claim. In the earlier section, we talked about contractor's claim. Now, let us talk about owner's claim. Let us start our discussion with 1. Owner's enforcement rights in contracts. Rights to enforce contract provisions. Owners hold the right to ensure that contractors adhere to the terms and conditions laid out in the contract. This encompasses everything from the timeline to quality standards specified at the outset. It's crucial for maintaining control over project objectives and outcomes. Importance of enforcing compliance. Enforcing these provisions is not just about holding contractors accountable. It also protects the owner's interests, resources, and timelines. It ensures that the contractor performs their duties as agreed, thereby safeguarding the project's successful completion. 2. Economic climate and contractor responsibility. Owner's financial position and contractor faults. In the current economic environment, owners can't afford to cover the cost arising from a contractor's mistakes or delays. Financial prudence is paramount, and absorbing additional costs can jeopardize the project's financial viability. Entitlement to timely and professional performance. Owners are entitled to expect that contractors will complete the work on time and maintain professional standards throughout the project. This expectation is fundamental to trust and collaboration, ensuring that projects run smoothly and meet predefined milestones without unnecessary setbacks. 3. Avenues for recovery. Identifying defects and delays. During the construction phase, it's essential to be vigilant and promptly identify any defects in work or delays in the schedule. Early detection allows for quicker interventions and minimizes the impact on the overall project timeline and costs. Pursuing recovery during construction. When defects and delays are identified, owners have several avenues to recover costs or enforce penalties as stipulated in the contract. Methods of recovery include withholding payments, invoking performance bonds, or other legal remedies specified in the contract. This proactive approach ensures that any deviations are promptly corrected and the project remains on track. Owner claims types. Type of owner claims can be generally categorized under delay claims, cost of corrective works, termination claims, and tort claims. Let us discuss each of them in detail. Delay claims. 1. Importance of timeliness in construction projects. Critical nature of time in construction. Time is a critical factor in almost every construction project because the owner does not derive any benefit from the project until construction completion. As long as construction is ongoing, the owner remains on the paying end, incurring various costs. Consequences of delays for the owner. If a project is not completed on time, the owner can face several severe consequences. These may include the risk of a market collapse, loss of use of the project, financing penalties, and various other losses that can be tough to calculate or determine. The financial and operational impacts can be significant, making timeliness crucial. 2. Liquidated damages in construction contracts. Purpose of liquidated damages. To address potential losses due to delays, many construction contracts include provisions for liquidated damages. These clauses specify a predetermined amount that approximates the losses an owner might suffer because of delayed project completion. The main aim is to provide a fair compensation model that discourages delays. Conditions for enforceability. For liquidated damages to be enforceable, certain conditions must be met. The stipulated damages must be reasonable and reflect the anticipated losses the owner would suffer due to delays. Moreover, the owner must not have contributed to the delay in any way for these clauses to hold up in court against the contractor. 3. Recovery of actual damages without a liquidated damage clause. Definition and types of actual damages. When a contract does not include a liquidated damage clause, the owner has the right to recover the actual damages suffered due to the delay. These actual damages are split into two main categories: direct damages and consequential damages. Both types represent the financial impact of delays but differ in their source and nature. Importance of keeping adequate records. Adequate record keeping is essential when it comes to establishing the financial impact of delays. Detailed records help substantiate claims for both direct and consequential damages, making it easier for the owner to recover the costs in a legal setting. Good documentation practices are thus a key aspect of managing delays efficiently. 4. Types of actual damages. Direct damages. Direct damages are those that naturally flow from the delay. These include lost rental value, the difference in interest rates between construction loans and permanent loans, construction management fees, overhead costs, and the storage and cost of materials. Additionally, there can be potential claims from other contractors involved in the project. Consequential damages. Consequential damages, on the other hand, arise from special circumstances that the parties contemplated when they signed the contract. These can include lost profits on potential sales, increased production costs during the delay period, and penalties from financing commitments. Consequential damages are often more complex to calculate but can be equally important for the owner to recover. Importance of these types of damages. Both direct and consequential damages are critical in comprehending the full scope of financial impact due to delays. Understanding these categories helps owners better manage risk and potential financial loss. Cost of corrective work. 1. Issues with defective contractor work done. Occurrence of defective work. Owners sometimes find themselves facing defective work completed by contractors. This can happen either after the contractor has finished the project or even during construction. Issues may arise when the contractor, for various reasons such as financial instability, is incapable of performing necessary corrective measures. Contractor's inability to correct the work. The inability of the contractor to correct the defective work puts pressure on the owner to take action. This situation is often challenging, requiring the owner to step in and address the defects either through their own resources or through hiring another contractor. 2. Exclusive remedies in contracts. Definition of exclusive remedies. Many construction contracts contain clauses that specify exclusive remedies for defective work. These remedies cap a contractor's liability and limit the owner's recourse to specific actions like repair and replacement rather than monetary compensation. Validity and enforceability of exclusive remedy provisions. While these exclusive remedy provisions are generally considered valid and enforceable, they need to be scrutinized carefully. It's important to distinguish whether these provisions pertain to remedies available under tort law or those under contract law. 3. Limitations of exclusive remedies. Distinctions between tort and contract remedies. Exclusive remedy provisions typically attempt to limit a contractor's liability by capping the remedies available to the owner. However, these provisions can differ based on whether they cover contractual remedies or those based in tort. Tort remedies usually refer to damages resulting from negligence or wrongful acts, while contract remedies are those specified within the contract agreement. Repeated failures by the contractor. When a contractor makes multiple unsuccessful attempts to correct defective work, the exclusive remedy provisions may not hold. If there's a consistent failure to rectify the issues, the exclusive remedies clause becomes unenforceable, allowing the owner to seek broader compensation. Owner's rights and loss of benefit. Under such circumstances, the owner is entitled to recover an amount that closely approximates the loss of the benefit of their bargain. This means the compensation should reflect the disparity between the expected project outcome and the defective state of the work. 4. Owner's recovery option. Recovery of repair or replacement value. In the absence of exclusive remedy provisions within the contract, an owner is typically entitled to recover either the cost of repair or the full replacement value of the defective work. This ensures that the financial impact of defects does not solely burden the owner. Diminished value theory. Sometimes correcting defective work might lead to economic waste, especially if the cost of repair outweighs the benefit. In such cases, the diminished value theory is applied, where the owner recovers the difference between the project's value as promised and its current diminished value due to defects. Avoidance of economic waste. The principle behind the diminished value theory is to avoid unnecessary economic waste. Instead of incurring exorbitant costs to correct every defect, this approach helps determine a more practical financial recovery, balancing costs against the real impact of the defects. Termination claims. 1. Introduction to termination as a remedy. Definition of termination. Termination refers to the act of ending the contract and stopping all work being performed by the contractor. It is considered the most severe action an owner can take against a contractor. Severity of termination. Due to its seriousness, termination should be seen as a last resort. It essentially ends the contractual relationship, which can lead to significant legal and financial ramifications for both parties involved. Therefore, utmost caution is required before proceeding with termination. 2. Compliance with contractual provisions. Importance of adhering to contractual provisions. The owner must strictly comply with every provision outlined in the contract. This includes following specified processes and meeting all stipulated conditions prior to considering termination. Ignoring even a minor contractual provision can lead to complications or render the termination invalid. Reasonable steps before exercising termination. Before moving forward with termination, the owner should take all possible reasonable steps to remedy the situation. This may involve working closely with the contractor to address and resolve any issues. Such proactive measures can help avoid the need for termination and the adverse consequences it brings. 3. Waiving the right to terminate. Consequences of allowing performance post breach. If an owner allows the contractor to continue working after a material breach has occurred, it may be construed as waiving the right to terminate. This means the owner cannot later decide to terminate the contract based on that particular breach. Therefore, it's crucial for the owner to act promptly and decisively when a breach is identified. Requirement of giving notice and reasonable time. The owner must inform the contractor of the breach and provide a reasonable period for the contractor to rectify it. This notice should be clear and specific, outlining the breach and the required corrective actions. Providing adequate time for rectification shows fairness and adherence to the contractual terms. 4. Owner's hindrance and its implications. Impact of owner-caused obstacles. The owner cannot cite failures that were due to obstacles they themselves created as grounds for termination. For example, if the owner has caused delays or hindered the contractor's performance in any way, they cannot use those delays as a reason to terminate the contract. Responsibility of the owner in fulfilling conditions. The owner must ensure they are not the cause of any unmet conditions within the contract. They must act in good faith and uphold their part of the contractual obligations. An owner who is not innocent of wrongdoing places themselves in a vulnerable position and cannot use those wrongs as justification for termination. 5. Avoiding wrongful termination. Criteria for rightful termination. To validly terminate a contract, the owner must strictly follow all applicable contract provisions and must ensure there are genuine grounds for termination. This means verifying that all conditions for termination as stated in the contract are met. Risks of wrongful termination claims. Failing to comply with these provisions or wrongfully blaming the contractor can lead to wrongful termination claims. Such claims can be costly and damage the owner's reputation. Therefore, owners must exercise due diligence and fairness to avoid any risk of wrongful termination accusations. Tort claims. 1. Introduction to tort claims in construction. Definition and examples of tort claims. When the contractual relationship between parties in a construction project collapses, they might raise tort claims besides the contract claims. Tort claims could include tortious interference with contractual or other advantageous relations, fraud, misrepresentation, and negligence. These claims essentially involve wrongdoing outside the scope of the contract. Potential limitless nature of tort claims. The range of possible tort claims is virtually limitless and largely depends on the creativity of the legal professionals involved. This means that parties can sometimes stretch the boundaries to fit their specific grievances, making tort claims a powerful tool in dispute resolution. 2. Contractual provisions and tort claims. Relationship between contractor and owner based on contract. The bond between a contractor and an owner in a construction project is fundamentally contractual. They agree on the terms and execute the project based on this mutually agreed contract, which outlines the responsibilities and protections for each party. Provisions barring tort claims and their limitations. Often, contracts have clauses that bar the parties from making tort claims against each other to limit disputes to contract related issues. However, these clauses can't stop claims from or against third parties who aren't part of the direct contract, such as design professionals. 3. Litigations and contractor claims. Common litigation scenarios. In typical legal disputes, contractors often sue design professionals claiming negligent misrepresentation or asserting that they are third party beneficiaries of the owner design professional agreement. This blurs the line between tort and contract matters, raising complex legal questions about the duties involved and what injuries are compensable. Fine line between tort and contract. Distinguishing between tort and contract claims can be challenging as they often intertwine. The restatement second of torts allows claims for negligent misrepresentation linked to design professional responsibilities, such as providing faulty construction documents, while excluding negligent interference with contract claims, even if they are very similar. 4. Economic loss doctrine, PAOE, definition and purpose. Many courts rely on the economic loss doctrine to handle the fine balance between tort and contract claims. This doctrine asserts that design professionals are not liable for negligence leading to purely economic losses to a contractor with whom they don't have a contractual relationship. Essentially, the contractor must seek remedies from the owner based on their contract. Impact on contractors and design professionals. The economic loss doctrine means contractors can't typically claim economic damages from design professionals in tort, making it necessary to pursue contract based claims against the owner. However, this doctrine doesn't block claims for personal injury or property damage. 5. Alternative judicial approaches. Courts adopting the economic loss doctrine. Several courts strictly follow the economic loss doctrine, limiting contractors to seeking contractual remedies and avoiding tort claims against non contractual parties for economic losses. Courts allowing tort claims regardless of damages nature. Conversely, some courts allow contractors to pursue tort claims against design professionals, ignoring whether the damages are economic or not. This can lead to tort claims being raised in a wider range of scenarios, although legal stances on this can fluctuate over time. 6. Considerations for pursuing tort claims. Nature of claim damages. Before deciding to pursue a tort claim, it's vital to assess the type of damages being claimed. Are they purely economic or do they involve personal injury or property damage? Recoverability in contract versus tort. It's crucial to determine if these damages are likely to be recoverable through existing contract provisions or if pursuing a tort claim would offer a better chance of compensation. Cost implications of pursuing tort claims. Pursuing tort claims can be costly and contentious, often involving extensive legal battles. One must weigh these costs against the potential outcomes to decide if a tort claim route is worth exploring.